Hi, everybody. Greg and Christine back with you for Amplifying Your Leadership, where we take a deeper dive into some of the leadership concepts we talk about in our workshops and sessions. And today we're going to be looking at that final quadrant style in the situational leadership framework, and that's the delegating style. How do you go from supporting to delegating? So we looked at directing to coaching to supporting. And now what are some tips and tricks that are going to really help us when we get to style 4, delegation? Hi, Christine.
Hi, Greg.
So why delegation seems to be one of the hardest things for everybody. I mean, I think about it for myself. I'm always like, okay, I can do something really well, at least in my brain, but then trying to teach someone else how to do it or get them to do it as effectively as I do it seems to be a massive obstacle for most people. So what are some things you've done or some things you use, some techniques and strategies you've used to be effective at this?
Well, first of all, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the holy grail of leadership. Like everybody asks us probably on our first day, like, how can I delegate more? I can't possibly delegate. No one can do it, right? Everybody, I've had it backfire. It's easier to do it myself. All these things that we hear over and over again from people who have decided not to delegate. I think it's in what you said. Like you said something very telling. You said in your opening sentence just now, you said, I can't get somebody to do something as effectively as I can do it. And that is true. What you can do is get someone to do it as effectively as they can do it. And that is oftentimes good enough and sometimes even wonderfully surpasses you. And great leaders are really good at letting other people shine and giving away some of their shine in the process. Sometimes we think if I delegate these things that I do really well, that somehow that's going to reflect poorly on me, or I'm not going to have as much power or as much to do or as much, I'm not going to be as valuable. And most of the time in any really good organization, that is not the case. People praise and promote leaders who develop others. It's rarely the other way around, but that's our fear. So that keeps us small, right? That keeps us from delegating. Or we delegate really badly. So we think, yeah, here, Greg, do this, will you? And we don't give enough clarity in the beginning. We say in our workshop on delegation, the preparation for delegating is oftentimes more important than the actual act of delegating itself, right? So most times that I see it, most people do not prepare enough so that you have exactly what you want them to do in one sentence that you can say it. And in that sentence gives the goal and why this is important. So for instance, one of the company that I work with all the time, they're trying to get folks who are newer in the organization to run client meetings because the people who are more senior are just in too many meetings all the time and can't get, enough work done or can't, have enough time to manage. And so what we've worked on is even just the preparation of saying to them, I would like you to handle this entire client interaction from the beginning of the phone call to the follow-up email that comes afterwards. I will be on the call to support you and give you notes, but I think you can do it. You know more about this project than anybody. And actually, this will be tremendous for your learning, right? So people are like, great, I'm going to handle from the beginning of the call to the follow-up email afterwards with all the notes. And I've already told them that they can prepare to hear my feedback along with that process. I did not just, which is what we see people do sometimes. One is they never tell them this and they just wish that this person would speak more during the call. And why do I always have to do all the talking? They know this stuff, but I'm pulling it out of them. This kind of victimhood that we hear from managers. Or we have the opposite where they think they don't tell them exactly what to do or exactly what they're going to be responsible for. And those people are kind of left floundering, or they just drop it in their hands and they're not on the call at all. And then they're surprised that the client calls them and complains, why weren't you on this call? This person didn't do this. I didn't get this. And then you say to yourself, okay, I can't do this. I can't give this to her. Clearly I need to take this back. And that's not true either. I was too quick to let that go. So part of this process, just like good teaching, good educating, good parenting, is that you tell them what you want, you let them do it. You're there to watch, support, give them feedback afterwards, and then prepare. And then maybe the next couple times you're less involved, you're able to give less feedback depending, then maybe you can be off those calls completely once you know that everything's good with the client and everything's good with the employee. So that's what I think it's preparing, saying that goal right away, and then being patient to give that feedback and not be afraid of conflict.
I love the proactivity and the intention behind the manager's mindset. Again, the bigger priority is that seeing this as an opportunity to develop my direct report who may be in quadrant 3, right, and needs my support by, continuing to highlight their contributions, by asking them questions, and by encouraging them to take risks, right? But I'm trying to move them into that delegation piece and being proactive about that opportunity. Like you just said, this is what I would love you to be able to do, X, Y, and Z. And then asking them to repeat back what you've asked them to do, so that you make sure that your communication and your wish for what they're working on has been actually digested and understood, and then supporting them into them being able to do that the next time without you.
Yeah. And a lot of times people don't delegate. Probably the biggest reason that they don't is that they think it takes too much time. And the answer is it does take a lot of time. In the beginning, it takes double the amount of time, because you have to, just in the example I gave, you have to prepare for that conversation. You have to be in that conversation still, and then you have to give them feedback afterwards. So that's maybe 3 times as much time, but it's probably double the amount of time at first. But it's all of a sudden starts to pick up the pace. So sometimes to go fast, you have to step back and go slow. And that's what you're doing. You're going to step back and go slow in order to run. And the fact of the matter is that you have to tell yourself, I'm feeling stressed out by delegating because my calendar is now booked. You have to just say, this is a short period of time, long-term gain for this short-term pain. And if you do that, it will pay off, but you've got to commit.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, a few gold nuggets from our president, Christine Courtney. Thank you for sharing your strategies and reflections on how to move from supporting to delegation in the situational leadership framework. So appreciate that very much. Thanks all for joining Amplifying Your Leadership. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks,
Bye.
Greg.
Yeah. Thanks, Christine. Bye.